Hey guys, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and it is Sunday, so we are doing Breaches of the Week. And before we begin, I'd like to thank the following people that sent me tips or tagged me or whatever it was. I really appreciate it. As always, Chris Fallon, Rebecca Rutherford, and Brock Webb. Guys, thank you very much. And if I missed your name, please feel free to give me a shout. I'm more than happy to add it next week. And please send me those tips. And with that, let's get going on the Breaches of the Week. Let's start in Greenville, South Carolina with Greenville Water. They just had employees hit with a phishing email. Now, in January, Greenville Water issued a news release saying that they were experiencing technical difficulties in regard to network connectivity, which included both their phones and their computers. Online and phone payments are now back to normal, but heads up if you use Greenville, South Carolina water. Moving on, let's talk about the Toll Group. This is an Australian logistics company, and I can quote them. "We can confirm the cybersecurity incident is due to a targeted ransomware attack, which led to our decision to immediately isolate and disable some systems in order to limit the spread of the attack." Now, this past Monday night, they shut down a number of their systems as a precautionary measure, which impacted several of its customer-facing applications, including basically trucking logistics, which severely delayed a lot of deliveries throughout the entire continent of Australia. So heads up, Aussies, your packages may be delayed thanks to a ransomware hit on the Toll Group. Moving on, let's talk about Facebook because we pretty much have a weekly update on Facebook. Now, here's the thing. When the official Facebook Twitter account tweets that even Facebook is hackable, you know Facebook isn't having a good week. Now, here's what happened. A temporary account takeover by the Saudi Ourmine hacking group basically appears to have also impacted their Messenger Twitter account as well, and that lasted for less than 30 minutes, but it was enough to cause a lot of embarrassment to Facebook. Now, the Facebook Twitter account posted a late night tweet to its almost 13.5 million followers that read, "Hi, we're Ourmine. Well, even Facebook is hackable, but at least their security is better than Twitter." Now, basically, this compromised account tweet offered security services, and basically they are also offering to improve security. So we'll see where that goes. But on the heels of Facebook comes Twitter itself. Twitter declared the other day that it had discovered attempts to data breach its basically massive database by state-sponsored actors. The social media giant suspects that the infiltration was done to basically access the phone numbers linked to the user account after a recent security researcher basically blew the whistle on a flaw hidden in the contacts upload feature in Twitter this past December. Now, they said their servers were receiving repeated requests in high volume from IP addresses located in Iran, Israel, and Malaysia, which indicates that their servers are basically being hit hard with fake traffic or fraudulent requests. So it could possibly be a directed of denial of service attack, but Twitter also looking like they may have a data breach on their hands, and we'll see where that goes. Moving on, the Allegheny Intermediate Unit, this is a regional education agency. They're on alert after a malware attack hit their network. There is no evidence that any sensitive information was compromised. The exact numbers were not disclosed from what I read. So if you have anything to do with the Allegheny Intermediate Unit, heads up to you. Moving on, let's talk about the city of North Miami Beach in Florida. They announced Friday that they'd been impacted by ransomware, and I quote, "The most important thing to know is that there has been no interruption in public safety services in the city of North Miami Beach. Our police department continues to conduct all operations to keep our residents and streets safe, and citizen calls for assistance will continue to be responded to promptly. At this time, it appears no other department or city service has been affected. Local and federal law enforcement are investigating." So heads up, city of North Miami Beach citizens. Moving on, let's talk about Oregon's Medicaid Coordinated Care Organization, Health Share of Oregon. They are notifying 654,362 former and current members that some of their protected health information was stored on a laptop computer stolen from its transportation vendor, GridWorks. Now, GridWorks' laptop was not encrypted, which is a violation of their business associates agreement with Health Share of Oregon, and so they're probably going to be liable as well. And the personal health information stored on that laptop included names, addresses, contact telephone numbers, birth dates, Health Share ID numbers, Medicaid numbers, and Social Security numbers. So heads up, state of Oregon, if you use the Health Share of Oregon, you've got a problem. Moving on, we're going to be talking about various banks in India. Now, a database containing more than 460,000 payment card details of Indian banks was uploaded basically into the dark web. Now, the entire database was 461,976 payment card records, 98% of which basically belong to large Indian banks. This is according to cybersecurity researchers who are not disclosing which banks they've identified, but the whole thing was uploaded to Joker's Stash in the dark web, which is one of those identity theft forums where credit cards go to be sold. So heads up if you're one of those 460 plus thousand people in India using a credit card from a major Indian bank. Moving on, let's talk about Just Park. This is a company out of Belfast, Ireland. The details of more than 4,500 people were published on the website of their new parking app. Now, this discovery on their corporate section of the Just Park system was made actually by a local Belfast business owner. Names, email addresses, mobile numbers, cars, makes, and registrations from across the UK were all made available. So heads up if you use Just Park in Belfast. Moving on, let's head back to the United States and talk about the UPS store. On January 20th of 2020, the UPS store began notifying customers that an unauthorized party had gained entry into the email accounts of some store locations between approximately September 19th of 2019 and January 13th of 2020. The UPS store has initiated an investigation basically to see what the entire scope of this phishing incident is, thus far identifying over 300 victims basically by the date of their announcement. No involvement with any point of sales transaction from any UPS store apparently has been identified. So heads up, this affects businesses, government, and local consumers if the UPS store gets hit. They're one of the largest shipping franchises that is owned by UPS, and they're owned by UPS across the United States. Moving on, we're going to be talking about Golden Entertainment out of Las Vegas. I believe they run casinos. They're notifying customers, employees, and vendors of an incident involving an unauthorized access to employee email account via phishing. The access was obtained apparently multiple times between May 30th of 2019 and October 6th of 2019. So the data impacted: names, social security numbers, passport numbers, government ID numbers, driver's license numbers, dates of birth, usernames, passwords, of course, payment card numbers, expiration dates, card security codes, financial account numbers, routing numbers, health insurance information, and health or treatment information. So basically, if you work for Golden Entertainment or you have walked into any one of their facilities and stopped to breathe, they pretty much got it breached for you. So heads up, Golden Entertainment users and employees. Moving on, let's go to Roanoke, Illinois, to the local DMV. That's where we get our driver's licenses and other motor vehicle stuff done in the United States, for those of you who don't know. I found this absolutely interesting because I think it's a sign of things to come. The Roanoke, Illinois DMV was temporarily closed due to a break-in. Somebody actually broke into the facility, but in an interesting twist, I think, the local authorities said that there were no data breaches that were reported. While things were stolen, they are not saying that anybody had a data breach. And I find that to be very interesting because previously when we talk about things that are stolen, they stole computers, cash registers, and all of this. But now we have just seen one step further, basically saying data breaches were not occurring at this Roanoke, Illinois DMV. And I think that's a sign of the times, because typically I don't see, when I'm looking through all of this stuff in terms of physical break-ins, a declaration of data breach or not. I think that speaks to all the new data breach laws that we've got going on. Now, here's an update from Yahoo as we move on. And if you have received an email from Yahoo in recent weeks alerting you to a data breach settlement, it is now time to pay attention, because that is probably legit. And for the record, Yahoo is doing this legitimately, but beware of scammers sending you fake stuff. So listen to me here, and I will give you the official information. Now, any U.S. resident who had a Yahoo account between January 1st, 2012 and December 31st, 2016 is eligible to join this class action, which is expected to include 194 million people in the United States and Israel, apparently, and that is basically accounting for roughly 896 million of the 3 billion accounts that were hit worldwide. Now, under the terms of this settlement, affected customers or small businesses could potentially get up to $25,000 in reimbursement if they had out-of-pocket expenses tied directly to this data breach. So for example, If you had losses or fees that you incurred as a result of setting up credit monitoring, handling identity fraud, or if your business was affected or you negatively because of this breach, in other words, they used your personal information to take out a bank loan against your corporation or your personal account, you can get up to $25,000 of reimbursement. Now, even if you didn't suffer any direct harm from the breach, you can still claim free credit monitoring or a cash payout of $100. And basically, there you go. And so the official website that you've got here, and this is the one to go to that everybody from pretty much every source that I checked is saying, and that is YahooDataBreachSettlement.com. Again, that's YahooDataBreachSettlement.com, obviously all one word, as it's a URL. And if you see any other websites, assume that it is a scam. That is the official one, YahooDataBreachSettlement.com. And beware of scammers, because now that this is out, I guarantee you there are going to be phishing campaigns of people saying, oh, we are the official Yahoo data breach. Please punch in all of your details and intimate information into this and we'll get you your money, and odds are it's a scam. So please be aware. YahooDataBreachSettlement.com is the place you want to go. And finally, I'm asking the question, and this is the very last thing we're talking about in Breaches of the Week: are we seeing the future of political machinations with a current situation that is starting to evolve in the United Kingdom? And here's what's going on. Now, the Labour Party in the UK is accusing the Keir Starmer campaign of a data breach. And I hope I am pronouncing that right. Anybody in the UK, please feel free to correct me. Keir Starmer, his campaign is being accused of a data breach. Now, they're accusing them of hacking into the Labour Party's membership database, and this is according to the BBC. The allegations were made against two members of the Starmer team, one of which is the compliance official for that campaign. Now, Sir Keir and his team, or Carr and his team, said that these claims were quote-unquote utter nonsense. Multiple sources say the Starmer team members were accused of what's called data scraping, which is seeking to obtain information from a wider set of data. So, in other words, if you have data that is publicly out there without having to break in anything, you can scrape this information and gather it if there are no good security controls on a database. Now, supporters of Starmer, who currently basically, from what I understand from the politics, has in polling twice the support as many of the local Labour parties, have suggested that they are now victims of a politically motivated effort to damage him and his campaign. And as we are coming up to the 2020 election, I can't help here but see the parallels, where if you've got, let's say, one party or candidate accusing another of something like a data breach, that is a very serious allegation that needs to be defended. And when we are living in the age of disinformation and fake news, is it possible that, let's say, a third-party state-sponsored actor outside of the United Kingdom could cause a situation that would make the Starmer campaign look like they have committed a data breach? I do not know if they actually did or did not do any of this. I can't really speak to that, but I find this to be interesting. And like we had with the Roanoke, Illinois DMV, where now you've got local police saying, oh yeah, they stole a whole bunch of stuff, but no data, personally identifiable data was stolen. Are we going to see that morph into campaigns as well, where they now have to say, oh, we've collected all this data on our voters that we believe are going to support us, but we didn't data mine you, we didn't data scrape you, we didn't data breach you, and the other side says, oh, yes, you did. And so I think it's going to be a very curious thing to see in politics, and we might be seeing a microcosm of that happening in the UK with this particular campaign right now. So heads up on that. I'm sure people from the UK might want to chime in and tell me, either to go stuff it, or I'm right, or I'm wrong, or just correct my pronunciation, on Keir, which I think is Care or Keir or Carr. I'm not sure. Let me know. Anyway, those are your breaches of the week. Were you affected? Hopefully not. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe and stay online. Thanks, guys.